Hi, I'm Peter Guber, and this is Winning Voices. In my career in movies, television, sports, new media, entrepreneurism, and academia, I've had the opportunity to meet the best and the brightest, the leaders in all those fields. And what I found they all had in common was their ability to tell a purposeful story to win. I want to share those voices with you so that you can tell to win. My guest today, Mark Victor Hansen, is one of the most successful authors in the world, having sold through Chicken Soup for the Soul over 110 million copies. And what did he do to get there? Failure, failure, failure. He had to overcome enormous failure to create that success. All the rejection of all the publishers who said to him, no, 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 it won't work. But he stayed with it. And how did he do it? He told a purposeful story, finally finding that one person who believed in him. And then he turned that magic into great success. Listen to his story, learn from his story, how you can tell purposeful stories for your success. You've obviously been told no many times in your life. Many times. Okay. So what story do you have that makes you be dyslexic, turn no into on, that makes you say, I know I hear you, but you're not understanding my proposition?
Since I was 9 years old, I've had a white-hot, burning desire inside that I go linearly for what I want. I become a megalomaniac. And in Chicken Soup, we got turned down 144 times. Everyone else said, my partner, Dr. Jack Canfield, said, hit the road, Jack. And I knew that Chicken Soup was going to be the world's best-selling series because I'd written it. And I teach that whatever you want and you put in writing and you visualize and fervently desire, you're going to realize or manifest.
But you got that signal.
At 9 years old. You got that story
somewhere. What was the story at 9 years old that burned in your psyche that now you turned it around and paid it forward?
I saw that little racing bicycles like Lance Armstrong rides. I wanted one. He said, you can have it if you earn it. Never thinking I could earn equivalently $4,000 in 6 months as a 9-year-old. I became the world's best greeting card salesman. I don't think I ever told you that, but I sold more greeting cards than anybody else in America.
And so when you see someone in your business life that tells you no, or you can't do it, do you reframe your offering in terms of a story? Do you reframe your initiative, or do you just fire bullet points of facts and information?
No, story is always it, because I figure if there's a detour, I'm going to go over, under, around, or through it, because I'm writing the story. Right. I am the author of my life. Nobody else has that privilege. Nobody, under any circumstance, ever. And every one of us writes his or her own story. And if you told me no about something, I'd say, well, that was interesting, but Peter just didn't understand the offer yet.
But truthfully, the real mastery you have, when you absolutely, positively have to get something done.
I get it done like that.
And you got to get in the room face to face and breathe the same air, pressing the flesh, looking him in the eye. Is that a big game changer?
Face to face, eyeball to eyeball, wallet to wallet is the way I believe it's got to be.
And is that, where did you get that understanding? Was it through your experience, obviously?
As a little kid, 9 years old, I just went house to house to sell, and nobody believed that I could have that geographical outsweep as a little kid. I was just fearless because I knew what my end game was, because I wanted to tell to win.
Great, great. You know, can the passion to tell a story be learned or at least improved, or is it something that only a few people were lucky enough to have God put it in?
Everyone has an intrinsic, and most people get it pushed down starting at 5 years old. At 5 years old, any kid can tell a story. And what happens is in the wonderful school system we have that says you'll do it this way, we stifle it out. And, you know, it's like we teach in our Chicken Soup books. Every kid laughs 50 times a day, and every adult laughs 2 or 3 times a day. And we've had it beaten out of us. And stories are a great way to humor stories are one of the things that I'm the best at.
You did a book with Art Linkletter, who was a master storyteller.
Oh, the best.
And was able to embed in those stories the real lessons. What is the magic of story that when somebody's rendered a story with the information inside, what do they do with that story? Why is the story so powerful?
Well, he got little kids to tell a story that were the most irascible kids. He says to little kids, what animal do you want to be? And kid says, I want to be an octopus. And the kid was 5, and every other kid wanted to be a lion, tiger, dog, cat. He says, why? He says, well, I'm little and they beat me up at school, so on Monday when I go back, I'm going to beat them up with my testicles. and the point is, Art never got bleeped because the little kid didn't do it out of any malice or any profanity. He didn't know the difference between the words.
So now you need testicles to tell your story, because if you don't have them, you won't tell a good story. So one more thing that intrigues me.
That doesn't mean only men can tell stories, and that's simply not true. Well, women are great raconteurs.
Yeah, well, they're emotional creatures. They're actually more emotional than men, and stories are emotional transportation. They would move people. They move their heart before their wallet. So
Well, that's the whole thing when you say that we have 7 points of telling a good story, but the first one is it's got to cause instantaneous emotional change. Do you have to be in business, Peter, to tell to win?
when you want to move another person to your cause of action through your call to action, the power of the oral narrative, the ability to tell your story in the room face to face, is the secret sauce. It is the game changer. It doesn't mean you have to be a great storyteller, but you have to emotionalize your offering. But you know, as a practitioner of that, that you can ignite that, you can kindle that very easily if you understand that people do want to be moved emotionally.
Peter, can anyone use the stories and tell to win to personally become more successful, dynamic, and achieve infinite good in their lives?
I really believe that. You know, this is not a panacea. It's not going to make you into John Grisham or Jack Welch, but what it will do is it'll take 10 strokes off your game. If you're a golfer, think if you could take 10 strokes off your game. So you have more joy and less surrender. And our ability to emotionalize our offering, to move people to action, is best served when you use the power of the tell. And I think that's what I believe.
Can anyone learn to tell to win if they read your book?
I think anyone can learn how to better tell to win. I learned in my business, hits are born here and flops are born here. So the idea is use that emotional transportation to move your audience to your call to action. And the major secret is, if you do it, they become apostles and advocates for you, and they own the story, and they tell it forward.
So how do you get somebody to believe that they can become dyslexic like you are and take no and turn it to on?
Well, I think you have to fail a few times. You have to really fall down, get banged down. I've had more failures, cataclysmic, often highly public, than a Will Ferrell movie. I mean, up and down and up and down. I've had hockey teams where the team couldn't score and the audience didn't give a puck. I've had movies like Bonfires of the Vanities where they tried to walk out even when it was shown on planes. So, I mean, I have had all kinds of failures. But what I learned was, from many stories that I experienced, from people like Muhammad Ali and other people that said, you're a failure if you don't get up. You learn your lesson, you use that as a tool, and then you move through it to the next thing. And if you can do that, and you have more success than failure, and more joy than pain, you'll have a wonderful life.
When you brought Ali into the butter and bread people in your office, and they're all smoking cigars and going, yeah, we don't need Muhammad Ali, what did Ali do to turn him around with his story?
When he got into the room, we didn't really want to do it. They all sat there like this, in body language like, who's he going to tell how to sell his movie? We haven't even made it. And he fired his bullet points, all the facts, all the figures, all the data, for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then he stopped. Dead silence. Everyone looked around. What's wrong? He said, get up. He made everybody get up, and he made everybody put their hands and say, I'm going to tell you a story about one of my greatest fights, the strategy, tactics I used to prepare for it. And he said, I want you to move your arms for 3 minutes, then you'll have a minute of rest, and we're going to go 10 rounds. Well, after the 3rd or 4th round, their arms were like this. They didn't even have boxing gloves on. Their arms were like this. They were laughing, slugging away. He got in the face of everybody. He changed their complete physiology. And
There's a story. It's a physical story.
What he did was, he actually engaged many of their senses. That's the secret to good telling of purposeful stories. He actually understood the audience. He told them a story. He embedded in it the idea, one simple idea: prepare if you want to win. You better have tactics and strategy. You better prepare if you're going to win. They got it through that story. They got it so perfectly that they insisted that a photographer come in and take pictures with everybody. And he got it so perfectly that he signed all the pictures, and they put it in their office. And what do you think they did? They paid that story forward with everybody that came into that office. He was the heavyweight champion of storytelling.
You're with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You're with Sony still.
Yeah.
He says, I got to take you upstairs and show you
my bedroom.
A rat and a snake.
In my bedroom.
In his bedroom.
I said, how do you know he wanted to be in the movie side of the business? How do you know what drama is? He said, come upstairs to my bedroom. I'm going to show you muscles. And I got really nervous. You're going to show me his muscles? No, he's going to show me muscles. A giant terrarium up there with a snake in it. I said, yeah. He says, look in the corner. In the corner was a little white mouse, like trembling. I said, yeah. He said, you know what's going to happen to him? He says, yeah, he's going to be eaten. So, that's not the drama. He knows he's going to be eaten. He knows he's going to eat him. But we don't know how and when. And that's the drama of telling a good story. Wow, that just told me it all. I was
It's
teaching
thriller.
for years. It's a thriller, right? It's a thriller story. So anyways, thanks for joining me.
My joy.
Okay. Next time you face rejection, remember the story that Mark Victor Hansen told. And remember that it's just a speed bump rejection on the road to success.